Before a recording session can happen, several elements need to come together. Of course, the budget, the studio, the engineers, and of course, the orchestra. But none of this matters without the scores and parts. To ensure an efficient recording session, the notation on the scores and parts must be crystal clear. Think of it as the manual of instructions that tells musicians how to play the music effectively. And that will show in the first take. The first take, which is usually the rehearsal, will likely not be perfect. However, it provides valuable insight into how successful the orchestration has been. If the orchestra plays the music just right, it means all the work done during the orchestration and music preparation phase has paid off. But if something goes wrong, it will be noticeable and costly, as you'll waste precious time sorting out this issue. A critical factor in ensuring a successful session is the player's parts. By now, we all know that musicians will be sight reading the music, so it is really important to consider the layout of the part, making sure the players have good page turns, the notes are easy to read, and the font size is large enough for readability. For a session, the music font size is usually larger than in a published edition to facilitate quick reading. And while notation software has improved significantly, some might think, that extracting a part is as simple as pushing a button, but that's really not entirely true. Despite advances in technology and notation software, extracting a part and putting it in front of a player without proper editing just won't produce the best result. There's a skill to being a good copyist. You really have to analyze various factors to ensure the part is not only accurate but also performance ready. This is a job that requires care and attention to detail, and it can't be taken lightly. Orchestral music has always played a vital role in the creation of film scores. Even in an era dominated by electronic music and synthesizers, the orchestra still elevates a film to another level. It gives a film its soul, because the music is played by humans, not computers. Today, most composers for media write their music directly on a computer, and they create impressive demos for directors or producers to approve. And in many cases, these demos are kept as the final product, even if the music includes orchestral elements that could have been recorded with a live orchestra. I believe this often comes down to a budgetary constraint, as the production simply doesn't allocate enough funds for live orchestral recording. So the real question here is orchestral music worth recording? We've all heard the music of our favorite films performed by orchestras countless times, and there's simply no comparison between a real orchestral performance and a MIDI demo. And composers know this, but do all people on the filmmaking team understand its value? Do those responsible for the budgets truly get it? I'll let them answer that. There's also the situation where a composer gets assigned a budget, and while they might have some money set aside to hire the orchestra or maybe just a few players, they don't account for the additional costs of orchestration and music preparation. I don't blame them. When I started out, everything related to budgets was a mystery to me too. If you're a composer watching this, I encourage you to reach out. Let's have a conversation even before a project has started or even if it's still in the negotiation process. I just think it's important to know how much you can really spend on recording. The point I'm making is this: a film or any media production isn't just about a single composer, right? Hiring just one person. It's a team effort that includes engineers, musicians, copyists, librarians, and of course, orchestrators. And that's how professional film music is made. When composers are starting out, they often believe they can do it all. I did that too, and that includes orchestrating their own music. And while composing for orchestra is a skill that can be learned, it takes years of study and practice. In this era of sample libraries, composing for orchestra has become more accessible, even to people who may not be proficient in music notation. But for those who do know how to read and write music, transcribing a MIDI demo into proper notation and turning that into a score that real musicians can interpret and perform is a skill with immense value. Years of studying scores, understanding how each instrument of the orchestra works, and knowing how to communicate with players to get the best performance, that's the value of an orchestrator. Furthermore, knowing how to run a scoring session efficiently to not only get the best performance but also maximize recording time is why hiring an orchestrator is crucial for your production.